here this evening. And now I'm going to pass it over to Felicia.
Okay, thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate you. And I thank everyone for being here this evening. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of different slides here, and we'll, as Emily stated, we'll go through the questions toward the end. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar. As Emily mentioned, my name is Felicia Parks, and I am one of the career advisors in the main career center, AU Career Center. And our goal for tonight's webinar is to make sure we walk through not only what happens at the Job and Internship Fair next Wednesday, September 27th, but also how to use our Career Fair Plus app. We're going to go over strategies to help you successfully interact with employers. And since we'll be covering a lot of material today, I encourage you to take notes, save the links that my colleague will share via chat, and then again, post those questions within the Q&A section, and we'll go over those at the end of the webinar. So going to our very next slide, a little bit of a delay. All right, fantastic. So you may be thinking, why should I attend the Job and Internship Fair? Maybe this is your first time. Well, the Career Center, your professors, maybe even your family and friends want you to be successful in finding opportunities. And that can be accomplished during the upcoming fair. We currently have 112 employers registered, and that number could increase by next Wednesday, September 27th. So let's start with the overall objective. The goal with the Job and Internship Fair is networking. The candidate pipeline is where most employers will go to first when there's new opportunities. What does a pipeline mean? It means that they've met you at a job and internship fair, a networking event, you've applied online, and they've added you to an applicant tracking system, or ATS. And they'll refer back to that online system, or if it's a smaller company, a folder based on the resumes that they have. That's part of the pipeline. And oftentimes, you don't know someone who works at the organization that you're most interested in. So representatives attending the fair are typically those that are involved with some type of recruiting, human resources, hiring manager, talent acquisition. They have many, many titles, and they will know a lot about the organization. They'll be able to share what they do. They could talk about not only internships, part-time and full-time opportunities, but they also could talk about the hiring process during the fair. And the Job and Internship Fair is also an opportunity to learn how to apply for these positions. Do you send your resume via email? Do you submit it through Handshake? Do you upload it to their employer portal? So good for you to have that app, Career Fair Plus app, and take notes about next steps. Let's dig in a little bit deeper and talk about what are the benefits for an underclassman. Maybe you're a first year, second year, or even a third year student, and you're thinking, I'm looking for internships for next spring, the summer, then the Job and Internship Fair is a great place to start. Nervousness is normal, but each representative of the fair is eager to meet with you, share details about the internships, and provide insights on the timeline. Basically, when applications are reviewed, if they're done in person or virtual interviews, and if it occurs with multiple people for any of the semesters that they would offer internships. If you're a graduating senior and you're, of course, attending American University here in Washington, D.C., there are a significant number of opportunities available for you, not just in D.C., but in the surrounding states, such as Maryland and Virginia. So many graduating students, whether they're undergrad or graduates, may be eager to determine what are my next steps after graduation. So the Job and Internship Fair is also a great way for you to see what's available, learn about that timeline, and when you should begin that process of being considered a candidate. So let's work on a little bit of a strategy. This slide, if you want to take a screenshot, is a great way to think through the steps you take before the fair. Definitely you want to register on Handshake, and I'll have a screenshot to show you that as well, where you can click the events and you can register. Download that Career Fair Plus app. You're going to see it actually has jumped up to 112, so more than 90 employers. You're going to put together your strategic fair game plan. What's the best strategy? How to interact with people? We'll also talk about ways to prepare your intro, or basically your elevator pitch, and how to ask questions, not only the employer, but be ready to answer questions and then your professional attire. A lot of our events have occurred earlier this week, and so there'll be links to our YouTube page as well so that you can get access to that. And then we get asked a question constantly, how many resumes should I print? So let's start with 10, but save your most up-to-date copy in Handshake. And if you're really good with technology, save it as a PDF and you can email it to yourself so that it's accessible on your phone or handheld device, and you can share it with the employer if necessary. So, how do you register for the fair? Very easily. You are all registered for this event through Handshake. So you go back into Handshake, and once you get to that page, you'll click events. And then once you get to events, you can actually sort it by career fairs. One of the first career fairs that pops up is the job and internship fair. You click register and you are now registered. That will help you to see the employers. It gives you more details. Right now it's saying how many students have registered, so you'll know kind of who's on the floor between 1 and 4 p.m. One of the key things we like to share with you as a career center is updating your Handshake profile. Many of the employers have registered not only through Handshake, but may have job postings there. So adding your work experience, your involvement with organizations, your geographic preferences, in addition to skills, will help push your profile closer to being 100% complete. And this is an easy thing to do. You can actually open up your resume, or you can use your LinkedIn profile, and you can copy and paste it directly into Handshake. So this is a great way for you not only to update it, but to follow up after the job and internship fair by making sure your profile is as close as possible to 100% complete. So the Career Fair Plus app will work on both Google Play and those with an actual iPhone. You can download it. My colleague will actually have the link for you to click that at some point. And then once you actually click that, when you have it downloaded, the great thing is that you will no longer need Wi-Fi when you're on the floor. So you'll still be able to access information about the employers, see a map of the floor, and you also can have an online version as well. So if you wanted to use it on your laptop or desktop, we'll have that link as well. So here's another screenshot of what it looks like once you click that link. We won't do it now. And then you click install on, again, a handheld device. If you download it to your laptop or you go to that link, that's a little difficult to carry around. And we talked a little bit about how we would have an actual elevator pitch, and you can go to YouTube. It's hard to have an elevator pitch and balance a laptop, and we want you to be successful. So try a handheld device such as like your iPad or your iPhone or your Google phone, your Android. So once you get into the app, and a lot of this will be really easy for you to use, but just in case, there's a couple screenshots that help. With Career Fair Plus, you will see that there's at least 4 different screens that I've captured here. So the main page reminds you of the date and the time, as well as the location of the fair. So you'll see an announcement. Job and Internship Fair is Wednesday, September 27th, 1 to 4 p.m. That's Eastern in Bender Arena. Okay. There's also an option of adding it to your calendar, which I highly encourage you to do so, and also request a reminder. Once you click that employer icon, which is right beside it, you will then see a list of the registered employers. Right now, there's a few more being loaded. So I think it says about maybe 91. So it eventually will have some additional ones added. But the Career Fair Plus app will give you an opportunity to select employers that are your favorite. You can filter by your degree, your level in school, your major, your job type, and industry. So it's really key to help you planning your strategy. And then also there will be a map. So that's being finalized as well. So once it's available, you'll be able to access that through Career Fair Plus. But in case you're wondering, Felicia, what will the map look like? The employers are arranged in alphabetical order in various rows throughout the arena. We'll also have printed maps at the resource table. So as soon as you hit the floor, that table will be to your left. You can grab a copy and hit the floor. And then the last part, we'll also have resources. So you can take a look at how to make a good first impression, how to dress the part, and other tips. So that information will be there as well. Let's look a little bit more into the Career Fair Plus features. In this screenshot, I actually selected 3 employers as my favorite, and I decided these are the ones I would like to visit. Once I click the favorite tab, and I selected AARP as one I wanted to see more details about. Then it shows me an overview. It provides me with a link to their website, what degrees they're looking for, majors they'll consider, and their job types. Sometimes there even is a job posting in there as well. Please take a closer look and see that there is a notes section. So in the notes section, it actually indicated, be sure to ask about the college communications associate position, which I found either in Handshake as an active position or through the student contacts. And we'll talk about that as well. It may be really important for you to know if employers have DEI initiatives, if they have affinity resource groups, which is a great way to network with people of similar backgrounds once you start working for the organization. Maybe you want to make sure that they're generation based. I apologize. And you also want to make sure that they have something that's supporting you. So that information is also available within there for your filters. So that's a way to kind of sort that as well. And then there's a nice little banner at the top reminding you of the time and the location. My slide jumped ahead a little bit, but there's also a way to access Career Fair Plus via your desktop and laptop. So if you were planning your strategy before next Wednesday and you wanted to see a larger version online, this is a great way to take a look at that on your desktop or your laptop. But again, bring a smaller device when you come to the job and internship fair. So I know everyone's eager to hear about how do I put together my game plan? How do I make sure that I'm successful? Because now we've explored the app, let's talk about 3 critical steps in developing our plan. So one of the first things that's really helpful is to research the employers. You know, you really want to learn about what they do, who they are, see what's on their website, what's in their Handshake profile. If you have time, you can take a look at their LinkedIn page. A lot of employers have a LinkedIn page there, and any of the websites you feel like will give you information. This would be for your top organizations. So you saw in my previous example, there were 3, but be open to listening. The booths are pretty close together. So be open to listening to other employers chat or look at your app and see more. So again, you can search for different employers and sort with those filters, but keep in mind that there may be some additional people there. But start with your top ones first based on your availability. If you're in or out of class, only between 1 and 2, start with your top choices and then move to the ones that would be your second choice. So step number 2 is making that list of must-have connect employers. You save those when you're within your app. You can click it as your favorite. And then you also want to follow up, which you can do through Handshake. They can also provide you with a business card. You can ask them for their website or next steps. So don't be afraid to ask for that. We get really excited when we're in line and we're talking to the employer and we're making great eye contact. We've had a great handshake, and then we forget about the business card. So make sure you ask for that or the website. And then part of your approach is that elevator pitch. Again, we do have a link to mastering your elevator pitch, which was presented by my colleague yesterday. So you'll be thinking about that. And then make a list of questions that you would want to ask the employer. And you want to have really thoughtful questions, not such as, what do you do? That would be in the app. But here's a sample of those questions. I noticed the job and internship posting on your organization website. Can you tell me more about the type of candidate that would be ideal? And what are you seeking as far as skills? Or maybe the question could be, what does the hiring process look like for this XYZ internship position? And what do you like about working for that organization? I was really excited about what I saw as far as your DEI initiatives. So creating your desired list, using ARP, only for the reason that they're the ones that send me the most newsletters long before you're even eligible to be considered a retired person. But they're a very fantastic partner. They've hired so many of our students. So I thought it was great to use them. So similar to how you can filter on your Career Fair Plus app, this is filtering through Handshake. So when you register for the fair, it will show you the employers, and you can search, as you can see on the left-hand side, location-wise, categories with, you know, they accept all majors, the job types. So this is just to give you an idea of what you can search for. And also what year you are in school, maybe your first year, second year, but it'll be indicated by freshman, sophomore, junior. If you're looking for a nonprofit organization or government organization, this would be helpful. We can expand that search a little bit further in the desktop version. So in this particular one, this is where you would see, excuse me, this is where you would see something with their website in addition to a little bit of the description. So I wanted to give you a sense as to what that would look like. There's some additional details about the employer as you scroll through, and that's when you'll see the most desired skills. And that could be part of your elevator pitch. If they're looking for additional skills that happen to do with communication and diversity, you could talk about what you did with your student organization on campus, what you did in a previous internship, or volunteer opportunity. So the app is really geared to help you be successful in that conversation and to know a little bit more about the employer. So what happens during the fair? This is a great screenshot of our spring 2023, where you can see the tables are there. They're lined around the entire arena floor except the middle. And there's a little bit of a thick plastic over top of it. I like to say this because I'm a little bit of a klutz. So that's not today. That's not the day to wear your high heels. Wear something that's comfortable and professional. We'll talk a little bit about dress in a second. But the great thing to do is make sure you talk to the employer. You know, when you walk up to the booth, you can introduce yourself. You can let them know that you appreciate them coming to American University. Go into your elevator pitch, which always ends with a question. Offer a copy of your resume. Some employers may say, oh, we're not taking copies of resumes today, but go to our website. You can put that in your Career Fair Plus app. You can also write it down. When you have your resume, keep it in a portfolio or a folder so that you're easily able to pull that out. If it's possible, I would not bring large bags to the job and internship fair because we don't have anywhere to store it. But if you have to carry your bag because you're going from class to class, have a bag that you can possibly put on your back so that you have your hand free. Be ready to discuss your career goals. I'm looking for an internship that focuses on nonprofits and environmental studies. I saw that you're involved with connecting with animals and making sure they're treated fairly. So that's just a little bit of like an intro, and then end with a question. What type of candidate are you looking for? And what does that timeline look like? Because there's nothing more frustrating than not knowing that the internship process or full-time process will take several months, or if it only take a week. And then also inquire about next steps. Should I get a copy of your business card? Write down your email address. Is there a particular website where I submit my resume to be considered for a candidate? And do you have an idea about the deadline? Because maybe they share something great with you and you want to edit that resume and maybe put it back in your portfolio and send it at a later time. So if they have a deadline, you can put that in your notes as well. So let's talk a little bit about that handshake. One of the things that's really important, that if you're going to shake hands with an employer, stay away from what we call the fingertip holder. That's when you're just kind of touching the ends of your digits, as they call it, and you're not quite shaking their hand. And we also don't want bone crushing handshakes. When I was a recruiter, I had more people do bone crushing handshakes than they did fingertip. And then all of a sudden now my hand hurts. If you're uncomfortable with shaking hands, we know that COVID numbers are up, then try the elbow bump. Keep hand sanitizer in your pocket, your portfolio, or your bag, and you can use that before you leave the arena floor. So you can definitely have a really good handshake. And eye contact throughout the handshake is very important. So let's talk about professional dress. And no matter how stylish they are, pajamas are never part of your professional dress. If you've seen it before, and we don't like being the clothes police and turning people away. So pick the thing that makes you comfortable. There's nothing wrong with color. You want comfortable shoes. There are quite a few pictures of people in here with heels. I don't recommend the heels because you're standing in line, you're chatting with the employers, you're walking across that really weird rubber floor, and we want you to be safe and be comfortable. When you're speaking with the employer, try to speak in full sentences, avoid giving short answers that are vague, and you might have to lean in a little bit because there's a lot of conversation going on around you on the floor, so it's okay. And one of the things you also want to make sure with your professional clothing is make sure it's ironed or it looks nice. I know that's probably one of the few days where I actually pull out my steamer and I steam everything versus trying that little trick I do where I throw it in the dryer for 5 minutes. So you want to make sure that you look professional in all that you do with your resume and also your dress. And you can also Google some ideas or go through your closet and figure out what makes you comfortable for the fair. Now, it doesn't end after the fair. You can continue researching employers. You want to follow up with what you said you would do. If they provided a business card, why not take that extra step and send them a thank you note? Thank you for coming to campus and chatting with me about XYZ position. And then make sure you attach your resume. Those little special touches, especially if you have their email, actually helps it to stand out when they're looking at so many resumes from so many different universities. And then keep communicating with employers. You can network with them and maybe connect with them through LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, if you call it that, alumni fire, and other events that are happening on campus. So again, if you had a greater conversation, you want to follow up, hopefully a timely follow up within about 24 hours, maximum of a week. I know you all have a lot on your schedule during classes and things, so don't let it go past a week. You'll probably forget. And speaking of networking after the fair, there are a lot of great tools, and your career advisor can help you with this. Our peer advisors that do drop-ins throughout the week. So whether it's alumni fire, which I called it that Facebook and LinkedIn had a baby. That's kind of what it looks like. And when you see that, you'll see how people are willing to do job shadowing, take a look at your resume, refer you to opportunities. You can join with your LinkedIn account, or you can join with your email. It's really easy to do. Some employers have a really robust social media pages. So whether they're on X or whether they're on Instagram, they may give you some more detail. And I said I would also talk about how Handshake plays a role in connecting with people after the fair as well. And then LinkedIn is the most widely used networking tool, where you can sort by AU alumni, or you can type in the employer's name, and you also can find more information. So let's take a closer look about how you discover more students on Handshake. If your profile is up to date, we'll recommend some people, and it also actually helps you to connect with others. So in this particular instance, again, I'm using AARP because it happened to be the newsletter that came in the mail. And this particular person, Sharon, worked for AARP. And when you click on Discover More Students, which is on the bottom left-hand corner of your profile page within the Handshake, it will show you people who have similar background as you, skills, or you can type in the employer information. And when this pops up, now I can see Sharon's Sharon's background information, that Sharon worked not only for ARP, but also for American Red Cross and Washington Media Group. And this is a really robust profile because there's a lot of information in here. So this is a great way to see how you can expand. And it won't just show you American University students. You can expand your search, and then you can message them through Handshake. There are also some employers, if you go into Handshake and you type in the name of the employer, they may have a HR person that's willing to chat with you for 10 or 15 minutes. So that's a fantastic feature to have access to after the fair and follow up, especially if you forget to get that business card or the website address. Now, we have a lot of resources to help you prepare for the fair. This was something that was sent out on X the other day. So some of these events have already passed, but you're in luck. There are YouTube videos that have been saved, and they also have closed captioning. So if you need to use that, that's also available. And then my colleague's going to share links to our YouTube page where all of our videos are there, and you can access any of those resources, and you can actually see a little bit of the video that would be helpful for you. So these are two pictures that I put in from previous years of the job fair, where we used to have the curtains, and now they're a little bit more open. So there's a little bit of difference here. This is a sample of a curated list that my colleague has actually put together on YouTube and made it really easy for you. So if there are some topics that aren't there so far for this particular job fair, don't be afraid to venture over to ones that happened in 2022 or during the spring. That concept has not expired, so it will still be very helpful for you. Most importantly, if you want to have your resume looked at, you have two opportunities to do so. We have our virtual resume station on Monday, September 25th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So you go directly to Handshake, and it will show you how to click through, and you'll meet with any available advisor via Zoom. And that's a great way to have 10 to 15 minutes with an advisor, show them a copy of your resume, make some of those edits. And then a second job preparation one will be the in-person resume station that will actually be in the Career Center on the 5th floor. I used to say above the bookstore, but now they moved. So it's on the 5th floor, right above Bender Arena, and you can come in and schedule a time to chat with someone for 10 to 15 minutes. So with that in mind, I wanted to turn it over to see if you all had any questions, and I would love to provide answers. But most of all, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you so much to my colleague for helping to put in the links into the chat.
And so Felicia, there are a couple of questions in the
Oh,
Q&A.
great.
And the first one, you did kind of touch upon this, but if you could just reiterate, should we carry our resumes around in a folder or a backpack? What would you recommend for bringing resumes to the fair?
Because I also carry a water bottle, I make sure my water bottle is closed, and I carry mine, if I could, in a pad folio or a folder so that it doesn't have those little creases on it. So one of the things that I did as a recruiter, when I would leave a fair, and this is just to give you some insight, I would take all the resumes and I would use similar look like a copier. I would scan all the resumes in, and it would go directly into our applicant tracking system. And then I could put a code on it that said, these are the people I've met at American University. So if your resume has those little corners turned or it's really wrinkled, guess what gets stuck in that scanner? That resume. Maybe sometimes it gets ripped. So you want to try to keep it as professional as possible. So if you can put it in a folder, not everyone has a pad folio. I know those can be a little pricey, but keep it in that. And if you have it in your book bag, you can still have it inside of a folder and close up that water bottle so it doesn't get wet.
Thanks, Felicia. And just quickly on the resume topic, so the library does have, printing. They have a bunch of printers, but they have asked us to ask all of you to not wait until the last minute to print copies of your resumes. So it gets pretty busy the day of the fair. So what we recommend, as Felicia said, we have a couple of resume stations. Come have someone look at your resume and then go and print it. Try to do so ahead of time. In the past, sometimes those printers are over capacity and they end up crashing. So we don't want you to be left in a lurch, not able to print your resume. So do so well in advance when you've created your resume. Right. And Felicia, you kind of talked about this as well, but in terms of, bringing a backpack or a large purse or something like that, it's probably not recommended. Is that correct? And we don't have a storage space for students, right?
It's not recommended. We typically will have close to 1,500 students that come to the job fair. Sometimes it's a little closer to 1,000. And you can imagine we have one student resource table. And so we're not able to hold onto your backpack or your laptop or anything like that. And we don't want it to walk away. Throughout the day, we have different people on our team that are rotating around to help you in the resource table. We're in the tunnels, we're walking the floor, so you can always ask somebody for some help. And then we switch, and then you come back later and you're like, what happened to Emily was here or Felicia was here? So please bring something that you can actually wear on your back or carry around. And again, comfortable shoes that will not cause you to trip up on that plastic floor.
Great. And you mentioned the student resource table. What will students find there?
Fantastic. So we have quite a few handouts. If you haven't visited the Career Center before, you will notice that we will have handouts on resume writing, cover letter. We'll have ones about some of the events we have going on. We'll definitely have the map. It won't just be a map of the floor. It'll actually have a list of the actual employers. So you'll see row 1, and maybe all the government agencies. So all the US, and they're usually along that back row. And then you'll see rows 1, 2, and 3. And then to help you, we've got, like, I call it like little street signs at the end of each aisle, and it's showing you the beginning name, like alphabetized, and the end, so that you can find them. And if you can't find them, grab somebody. Oh, I forgot to wear it tonight. Grab somebody with a Career Center name tag and say, how do I find this employer? And sometimes employers get their messages mixed up and they end up at the wrong campus, or they're running late and someone is not at that table. That's unfortunate. So if there's someone that's missing, that's another reason to come and grab someone from the Career Center and say, where's ABC company? I was looking for them. So we can let you know if they're stuck in traffic or somehow there was some mixed messages.
Great. And we're talking about a row of U.S. government employers. So that leads into kind of the next question in the Q&A. Considering some employers are federal, should we prepare some resumes that are longer than 1 page as well? So I think this person's asking, should they prepare the federal format resume?
So the federal resume is a really unique resume to write. Another one of my previous jobs, I had quite a few jobs. And so most federal resumes may be multiple pages because you have to include the supervisor's name, you include multiple job titles if you have them, you'd have your full address. You also would kind of answer a little bit what's in that questionnaire, which they've said, oh, we no longer have knowledge, skills, and abilities, which was called KSAs. And that's not quite true. So while you can definitely bring a federal style resume, what you may find is that each agency has a different type of questions on their qualification survey. And so they'll say, hey, if you want to submit this later, you can do so. But if you want to bring a couple copies, that's great. But you also can submit it later. USAjobs.gov is a great resource to do that. They actually will lead to, I think it's the Partnership for America. I always forget the name of that group. So they made it real easy to walk through how to create the federal resume. We have a sample on our Career Center page. So if you actually go to the american.edu/Career Center page, and then begin your search, there's a federal style resume there. You no longer have to include your social security number. So that's the one piece I would not include, but we have guidelines as to what you can put in your federal style resume. But because those tend to be 3 or 4 pages, and I don't want you to have too many copies when you may have to make changes to it. So just have a couple of them. But great question.
And to follow up on that, can we submit regular resumes for federal internships? So if someone brings their regular resume to the fair and are inquiring about a federal internship.
So that's a good question. And that's why I would definitely ask the employer what's the best thing to do. So you can offer it and say, hey, I happen to have a traditional one-page style resume, which is what most employers want to see, except federal. And can I submit this one? That particular person that you're speaking with may say, hey, we preferred a federal style resume because it does not contain your contact information for the people you worked for. We don't see salary information, but feel free to resubmit it. Here's the website. But you can definitely always offer the resume. And if they say go to our applicant tracking site, but they don't say applicant tracking site, but that's what they're using. If they say go to our website and upload the resume so that we can track where we met you, include a note if they say so. How did you learn this position? They say do that, put in the note, I met you at the American University Job and Internship Fair. Because a lot of particular employers have their strategic schools that they partner with, and they really look favorable toward those particular schools or majors because they've hired great talent there. So they recommend you put those notes there or say, I was referred by, if you met this person, make sure you do those steps too, so that your resume is in kind of the top of the virtual pile.
Great. And to now switch a little gears a bit,
Okay.
and this is kind of more logistic question. Is it important to come at the beginning of the fair, or can we stop by at any time?
That is a great question. And one of the things that's a little bit disappointing is that employers have so many back-to-back events that oftentimes they will leave early. We would like them to stay from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So if you could come earlier, that would be fantastic, because what we have found is the person that comes at 3:30, the employer is packing up and they're going to their next event or they're catching a flight. So we would like them to stay to 4 o'clock, but we can't promise you that everyone will be there at 4 o'clock. If it's possible to reach out to your professors beforehand, because we don't want you to miss class, and say, hey, do I turn this assignment in a little bit earlier so I can leave class 20 minutes earlier and get to the fair at 1 o'clock, or can I come in a little bit later? Because we know that there's really no good time of day to have the job and internship fair. There's always a block of classes. But if you plan ahead, like today is Wednesday, so we're a week out. I mean, today is Thursday, we're almost a week out. We're back in time. I apologize. Today is Thursday. You can message your actual professors and say, hey, can I come in 20 minutes late? I'm going to be going to the job and internship fair, and I can turn my assignment, or I don't want to be marked as absent as that part of your grade. So please try to go earlier versus later. And if there are lines, I don't know if this is a question that came up yet, Emily. If there's a long line for one of your favorite employers, try going to the next one first and circle back. Sometimes that line can go quickly, sometimes it'll go a little bit longer. And you'll still have access to that information within Handshake and also the app.
Great. And there are no more questions in the Q&A now. So does anyone else, do any of you have questions? And if so, please submit them in the Q&A.
Okay, because I see a hand raised. I don't know if that
I don't see that hand
So
raised.
Jada has raised their hand. Jada, are you able to put the question in the Q&A?
And otherwise, if you prefer, I can allow you to speak if you want to ask the
Oh, wow.
question out loud. I'll go ahead and do that, and you're welcome to come off mute and talk if you're comfortable doing so. Oh, it just came in the chat as well.
I thought you were going to practice your elevator
I know,
pitch.
right?
I was ready.
Had a handful of more questions come in, so that's great. So Jada asked, any advice for freshmen who might not have much experience?
And you know what? I love when I see freshmen come to the job and internship fair. They're less stressed out than the seniors that are walking through really quickly and trying to find person. So when you don't have very much experience, you can talk about what you've done when in high school. So sometimes high schools have service hours and you have to have so many before you graduate. Maybe you just join an organization here on campus, here at AU, and you can talk about what you've done so far. Or maybe you had a part-time job. So you can always start off with, I've had customer service experience, AKA I was a waiter or I worked in a retail store. You don't have to go into that much detail. And I know that you're looking for someone with enthusiasm that's detail oriented. And we would plan ice cream social nights where each particular person who purchased something, the money would go to a high school for fundraising for their soccer team. And I track the fundraising dollars. So you can actually work on your elevator pitch to showcase the experience you've had so far. Maybe you were part of a student organization like the student government. So you can definitely talk about that. So a lot of times you all have experience, but you don't realize it's about transferable skills and other things that you've done. This is also a good time for you to practice walking around, talking to employers. So if you wanted to apply for internships during our spring fair, which is typically in March or a year from now, you already know the layout and you've had a chance to practice. So doesn't matter if you're first year or graduating, we still encourage you to come to the fair.
Absolutely. And the next question, can we schedule meetings or appointments with you both before the career fair?
I would love to meet with you all before the fair, but unfortunately, quite a few people were ahead of you and they scheduled the times. So we do offer drop-ins. So I'm not sure if we will have drop-ins in the library next week. Okay, we don't. Okay, I was just in the library yesterday, which is why I got confused with my days. And I had quite a few people that were in line for that. So we have the drop-ins on Monday and Tuesday, and that will be virtual on Mondays, I mentioned before, and on Tuesday. So while you aren't able to schedule with me before the fair, if you are an SOC student, whether you're a minor or a major, you're able to schedule with me. And then I have amazing colleagues in the School of Public Affairs, the School of International Services, the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Education, and the Kogod School of Business. So you're in good hands with all of them. They're very excited to meet with you. So if you want to go into the handshake, this is how you schedule your appointment, and you can select a 30 or 60-minute. Now, sometimes students cancel. So if you want to go back and check and see, let me see if Felicia happens to have one of those 3 slots she has open on Monday around the job and internship fair, the virtual, or on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we won't have any appointments at all because it's all hands on deck. We'll be setting up the job fair for you. We'll be walking the floor to answer questions. We'll be making copies of resource guides so you have it. So you can always stop by the student resource table if you have a question. And those are also staffed by career advisors. So please stop by. Even if you want to practice your elevator pitch, I would love to hear it. Stop by the resource table and be like, Felicia, hear this and tell me what you think.
Great. And so kind of a follow-up to meeting with a career advisor.
Okay.
Who would a student who's maybe studying a STEM major meet with? Which career advisor would they go to?
Ooh, a STEM major. So that is a good question.
Anna and Alyssa.
Okay. So I was like, what is who's the least from the STEM?
Yeah.
See, so focused on SOC, I totally forgot. Thank you. So, see, Emily's amazing. So you'll log in and you'll see Anna Littman or you'll see Alyssa Best as for a STEM major. Because I know we have some students that are doing an online program, and I work with the graduate study students or Cornerstone. So we each kind of have some specialty groups we work with as well. Thank you, Emily, for for that.
Absolutely. And to kind of tack on, we do actually have a lot of STEM employers coming to this fair, and we're really excited to later in the semester also be hosting a specific STEM job fair with our partners across campus, SIS, Kogod, and then also in the DC area. area. So look out for more information about that. But yes, if you want to meet with someone, if you're studying, one of the, let's say, biology, chemistry, computer science, you're going to meet with Anna Littman or Alyssa Best, and that will show up in your handshake, as Felicia said.
Fantastic. I love these questions. I think everybody's ready.
I know, right?
As soon as they hang up, they're going to download that Career Fair Plus app.
Let's hope. It is a great app. It's updated right before the fair. That morning of, we're making sure all of the details and information is up to date. Does anyone else have questions about the fair? One just came in. Any advice specifically for grad students, Felicia?
So grad students, there's a little bit of ways you can filter within Career Fair Plus to see if there are any particular employers that are looking for graduate students. So similar to whether you're a first-year student, graduating student, or a graduate student, there's too many words with graduation, right? You definitely want to think about what employers would be important. So a long time ago, we used to have these different colored cards. You like, oh, you can look for pink if they were looking for internships, or you can look for a green card if they're looking for graduates. So this Career Fair Plus helps. So the same way I would say any information you want to share about in your elevator pitch, have your resume ready. If you're looking for something where you're thinking, I want more a mid-level to a senior level opportunity, definitely look through their profile. If you don't see enough on the Career Fair Plus app, go to Handshake or go to their website and see what opportunities they have specifically for graduate students. And sometimes it may be some of the same positions, but you come in on a different job title, something like that too. So definitely graduate students, we really encourage you. We know that with a lot of graduate students, sometimes they're taking classes in the evening. So we're excited if you're able to come to campus during the daytime.
Fantastic. Anyone else have any questions? Nothing in there yet, but we'll give it, some time. So if you have anything, please don't hesitate to ask us.
Oh, and don't forget about those links. Emily shared quite a few links, and if you don't have them, will you be able to send that one pager out? Okay, perfect. So you'll get a one pager with all the links in it as well.
And that kind of reminded me, we did have a question that I just answered via text, but as a reminder, this event was recorded and it will be posted to that general job fair prep YouTube playlist that I put in the chat. And it should also show up in the answered Q&A questions if you open that on your own screen. So this, I'll upload it tomorrow morning. As Felicia said, it will have closed captioning. So if you want to turn that on, or if you use that, you're welcome to. And it has the other 3 prep events that we've posted this week that are
okay.
I'm gonna just quickly open the chat for everyone who's still on, and I just want you to tell us, what are you most excited about or maybe nervous about for attending the job fair next week? So you can put that in the chat. I just opened it back up for everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see if anything comes in. But Felicia, what's your number 1 tip for everyone coming to the fair? What is like the one thing you want to make sure everyone does?
The most important tip is be yourself. If you think that you have to pretend to be the person that knows it all, or you're trying to pretend like you know everything about the company, you'll be nervous and you'll fumble. One of the things I always really appreciated was a person that said, hey, this is my first time attending the fair, but I noticed that you're looking to hire people with this skill. And they looked at the Career Fair Plus app and they tried to make a good intro. So just be yourself. You're going to be nervous. I promise you that you will be. And that's normal. They're not going to hold that against you. So just be yourself.
It's a good tip.
They're like, no one said so far, unless I can't see it on my end.
No one submitted anything so far in terms of.
Everybody's ready. I love it.
I know, exactly. Well, fantastic. We'll give it one more minute if anyone has any last questions or wants to share what they're excited or nervous about, and then we'll call it a wrap. I'll let Felicia. We had one more come in.
Oh, I see
it. Last minute questions. Any advice on how you should respond to companies that have reached out to you on Handshake asking to meet you at the fair? That's a
Oh,
great
that's a great question for two reasons. The first reason is that I wanted to remind you all, so I'm glad you asked that question, to check your inbox in Handshake. So it's a different inbox, and those employers will reach out to you there. So sometimes you get an actual invitation, and maybe that's an employer that you've been really excited about meeting. So I would definitely do my research. That's what we went over this evening, and make sure I'm prepared to not only answer questions, but ask questions. And part of those questions that you're going to ask, you can find it on our Career Center page under like information or interviews, right? And then the questions you want to ask is, why should they consider you as a candidate? What are the unique skills you have to offer? And take a look at their job posting. Now, sometimes you get an employer that reaches out to you and you're not interested. So you want to be respectful and write them back and say, thank you so much for considering me for this great opportunity. At this time, I'm pursuing other options, but I would love to reconnect with you should my interest change. So this is a nice professional way, because you never know. I'm a career changer. Again, I never thought I would work in academia, so I never turned down offers. I just basically said, I'm not interested in this opportunity, but I said in a really nice way.
Fantastic. We did have kind of in the chat come in, someone's nervous about speaking with employers, which is totally understandable as someone who myself is a nervous networker. Talking to random strangers. I totally, sympathize with that sentiment. And I want to share, Felicia mentioned that student resource table. Come and talk to our advisors and practice your elevator pitch. Get that boost of confidence before you go and talk to them. Any other tips for getting over the nerves of talking to
So
strangers?
one of the things to remember is that employers came to the job fair because they know you are talented and they want to meet you. So they came out of their desk or they came out of their home where they're working remotely and they're excited about coming to AU. Before they come down to the floor, we feed them with a good sandwich and chips and drinks so their tummies are good and they're really excited to meet you. So keep in mind that they want to talk about their opportunities. They want to build their pipeline of candidates. So part of that nervousness might be, I'm meeting someone that I don't know, but you're meeting someone who's eager to connect with you. So just keep that in mind, is that they want to meet students. And we actually walk by and talk to them and say, hey, how's the flow been going? Have students talk to you? Do you find that they're prepared? And most of the time when we get our surveys or just talking to them, they're like, everyone that I've met has been amazing. We have not had those responses where the person was so nervous they just stood there and stared at me. So we know that you'll get comfortable. Pretend like it's an old friend. That's the biggest tip I used to always say, is pretend like this is an old friend. You haven't seen them since elementary school and you're just reconnecting and telling them, hey, guess what I've been doing for the last 10 years? I came to college. I've been focused on this. So treat them like an old friend. But just remember that they came here because they know you're talented and they want to know more about you.
That's good advice. I'll try to take that into consideration.
I know you're still nervous. I'm an introvert. So it's like I'm just going to naturally be nervous anyway.
I'm sure. Any last minute questions? Otherwise, I am going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us this evening, and a big thank you to Felicia for this excellent presentation. Again, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you want to revisit any of the content or go back through Felicia's presentation, I am going to send a follow-up email with all of the resources and the links we shared and a copy of Felicia's PowerPoint in PDF format. So in addition to that recording, the email, I'll send it to everyone who attended this evening. So thank you all for coming, and big thank you to Felicia for presenting tonight.
And thank you, Emily. Couldn't do this without you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.